Man?
It's insane. It's absolutely insane, because the dentists are now saying that the major benefits of fluoride, as far as teeth is concerned, and they're not very convincing, by the way, that we're talking very small benefits, and I can talk about the studies in a moment, but to come back to the central issue, they are saying that the major benefits of fluoride, such that they are topical. In other words, you have to apply it to the surface of the teeth, not that you don't need to swallow it. And of course, the one thing that you can guarantee if you put it in the drinking water is that people are going to swallow it, not gargle, they're going to swallow it. So here they're saying on the one hand the benefits are topical, and then they're standing by this obsolete form of medicine of putting this stuff in the drinking water of every man, woman, and child in the country. You can't control the dose. The margin of safety is very, very small. Alex, at the beginning of the show, you talked about the latest study from China, which talked about a lowering of IQ. They have found in China, in a study that was published just a couple of months ago, that there was a reduction in IQ at 1.8 parts per million.
Unbelievable, and on average, that's what they're putting in our water.
Well, what margin of safety do you have? If you're getting lowering of IQs at 1.8 parts per million, and we're putting in the drinking water at 1 part per million, and you can't control the dose of what people are taking.
Stay there, doctor. We got a break. Amazing information. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
My friends, he's testified before the FDA, before the National Research Council. He's a PhD. I mean, he's got more letters behind his name than supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. He's Dr. Paul Connet. And I want listeners to understand that every week I see major universities. I've got studies from the 1920s from the University of Texas by guys who buildings are named after, going, fluoride causes retardation, causes toxification of the blood. I mean, they knew this stuff a long time ago. So what's going on here that they put this in the water in the late 1940s?
Well, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories, but I think that water fluoridation, Alex, has served some massive distractions. It's distracted us from the fact that our kids are consuming far too much sugar. And instead of telling them to stop eating all that sugar and all those sugary foods and everything else between meals, we say, you don't have to bother about that, parents. Just give them this magic bullet of fluoride. So it's a distraction from an overdosing on sugar, number one. Number two, it's a distraction from the fact that this wealthy country has one of the worst dental care programs for poor children in the world. In fact, 80% of our dentists will not treat children on Medicaid. And so with the fluoridation...
Let me stop you, doctor.
Yeah.
That's true. I know that because I'm actually, through family, involved in the whole dental thing. But, doctor, I'm trying to understand something here.
Yeah.
Again, I have University of Texas major reports from the 20s to 30s.
Yeah.
I got stuff from last year out of Ireland. Steve, you know about all the studies.
Yeah.
How it makes the bones break, how it toxifies the blood.
Yeah.
I'm saying there was stuff in the 20s and 30s. How could they put it in the water knowing that?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, how is it today, for example, that we have the CDC being quoted all over the world as saying that fluoridation is one of the top 10 public health practices in the 20th century, at the same time that they're 6 years out of date on the literature? I mean, how can that happen? I mean, if I was 6 years out of date, I'd be sacked. I certainly wouldn't be able to speak in public. And yet here's the CDC, this highly respected government agency supposed to be protecting our health, 6 years out of date on their pronouncements about the safety. They go around saying it's safe and effective, safe and effective. They're 6 years out of date. This is scandalous.
And now they say that fluoride is for topical use, at least for the last 10 years that I know of, because my father's an oral surgeon and a dentist.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I've seen the reports, they say, it's only for topical, but they're saying you've got to ingest it.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely absurd. Of course, by ingesting it, then you're exposing it to some of the things that you talked about. I mean, 50% of all the fluoride that you get every day from all sources accumulates in your bones. The earliest symptoms of fluoride poisoning of the bones is symptoms of arthritis. We have a situation in the United States where 1 in 3 Americans have arthritis. And then they have the gall to turn around and say, well, there's no evidence that fluoride is causing any damage.
Yeah, all these young people are getting arthritis,
yeah.
And I've got the big studies out of Ireland with all these top scientists saying that's exactly what it does. Their studies were on bones.
Yeah, absolutely. And a very critical study came out of Mexico a couple of years ago, 2001, where Alarcon Herrera and her colleagues looked at bone fractures in children, and they found a very strong linear correlation with the severity of dental fluorosis. Now, mottling of the enamel is one of the well-known, well-characterized first symptoms of poisoning by fluoride. It damages the enamel. And there was a trade-off. When they started fluoridation, they knew this was going to happen to about 10% of the kids.
Fluorosis.
Yeah, dental fluorosis. They knew it.
You see these kids have got brown spots all over their teeth. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's right. And a small percentage of them, but maybe 1 in 100. But 1 in 100 is a lot of kids in the United States. The more severe the dental fluorosis, you get a color change. It's mildest form, little white specks, and then it becomes yellow, orange, brown, and then you get pitting. And what these workers did, they looked at the severity of dental fluorosis, which is a biomarker for fluoride exposure before your permanent teeth have erupted, and looked at bone fractures. And sure enough, the more severe the dental fluorosis, the higher the frequency of bone fractures. The teeth are a window to the bone. When you see that damage to the teeth, you can be pretty certain there's something going on in your bones.
So it's rotting holes in the teeth, and they're telling us it's good for our teeth.
Yeah, and they're saying it's just a cosmetic effect. This is the way they handle dental fluorosis. The way they're dismissing the fact that dental fluorosis is 3 to 5 times higher than their initial goal is to say you don't have to worry about that. It's a cosmetic effect.
Doctor, stay there. One more segment, just about 10 more minutes with you. We are so honored to have you. We posted a lot of news articles on Infowars.com, folks, into the organization the doctor's a member of. And he is the leading scientist opposed to fluoridation, Dr. Paul Connet. Stay there, doctor. One more quick 3-minute break. We'll be back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
We've got Rob and Keith and Kevin and many others that are holding. We will get to you before this hour ends. We've got one more segment left with Dr. Paul Connet, the leading scientist in the world opposed to fluoridation, out there testifying to the EPA, the National Research Council. A great website to visit that has some of his work and hundreds of other major studies on how deadly this is from around the world. FluorideAlert.org, FluorideAlert.org. And now is the time to protect yourself from this scourge. The doctor made a good point about how then we also feed our kids all this horrible sugar that toxifies them and eats out their teeth. And then, fluoride's the answer, when in reality, fluorosis is spreading all over the country because of the buildup of these toxic fluorides in the body, and then it rots holes in the children's teeth. And that's a key point the doctor also made in the studies that I've read here on air. And I've got them from all over the world, major university after major university after major institution, saying that they're taking toxic waste, these toxic fluorides mixed with all this lead and arsenic and Grignard reagents and heavy metals and in some cases radioactive material, and dumping it in your water. Doctor, just have you another 5, 6, 7 minutes longer. Other key points you'd like to make for our listeners about this serious issue?
Well, 2 things I'd like to quickly make. One is some people listening might think I'm full of hot air. Here's the challenge, Alex. Let them find, if they think that I'm not telling them the absolute truth here, or they think my arguments are weak, I challenge them to find any dentist, doctor, or government official, particularly those who are so proud of fluoridation, to debate me in public. I will go